Grossner, head football coach, Baker University. I want to introduce a couple of people. Tyler Price, our SID's right there, does a great job. He's in year 2. He's kind of a veteran now with us. He's done a super job with our website. We just got an award nationally, second best website in the nation. So we're trying to improve on that as a football program. Teresa Yetmar in the back, our athletic director, great support and supports all athletics and does a great job with our programs. Tom Hedrick, I always got to announce Tom. Tom's the voice of the Wildcats, been the voice of the Chiefs. It's Royals games in his time, does KU baseball, does it all. And we're really proud to have him as the voice of the Wildcats. And then last but not least, Jake Morse. Jake's going to be a 4-year starter for us at quarterback. It's nice to have a 4-year starter back at quarterback. He, this past season, had an injury, pretty devastating injury in the first game of the first quarter, and had to sit 2 games, and a miracle later, he was dressing in that third game back and played most of the year. Then against Benedictine, and finally said no more, gave out on it, but he had an ACL injury that he played on for quite a while and did a good job for us. The previous season, he was the player of the year, offensive player of the year in the conference, co-offensive player of the year as a junior, as a sophomore. So we were excited to have that guy coming back, and then all of a sudden, first game of the year, he's shot down, and we had to adjust a little bit as a football team. But excited he's back for a senior campaign. As a team, special teams wise, we got our punter back. He's a senior. We feel good about it. He's also our holder, so we feel good about that situation. We're going to find a kicker. That's my project in fall camp to figure out who can put him through the uprights. We've got one guy that plays wide receiver that can kick off, so we'll see how he does kick it between the field goal on a field goal attempt and see how far he can go back. Luckily, our punters are home, so we feel good there. Brian Williams will do a good job there, and Myron Tipton's our long snapper, but he's also probably our starting defensive lineman, so we got to be careful there. Defensively, up front, we feel good. Got on Andre Jall back, returning All-American, going to be a junior, so he can wreak some havoc on one side. We've got to find a defensive end on the other side, so that's one thing in fall camp we're going to figure out. Inside, we got about 4 kids that are rotating that'll do a good job for us. At linebacker, we don't have experience. We've got some pretty good football players. We hope Emerson Clark steps up as a senior, plays good outside for us. Derek Smith's going to get an opportunity to finally play as a senior. He's worked hard. He's a Missouri guy, so we look forward to him stepping in there. And then we'll figure out that other linebacker spot. Josh Fanal is a young man that transferred from Cerritos College that we redshirted last year. He had a knee injury, and we feel like he can step in there. Secondary, we feel really good. As a coach, you like going into a season feeling good about your secondary. At the 2 corner spots, we got Mike Stevenson back as a junior, but he's been our leader in the secondary for 2 years. Josh Fairley's back as a corner for us. And then we got Dwayne Sims, a kid we had a redshirt last year out of Hutch Juco. He was Hutch's leading tackler in that conference. He had 90-something tackles his sophomore year. We're going to play him at corner, but he can also play safety. Safeties, we've got about 2 or 3 kids that I think can rotate in and play for us. Offensively, quarterback we feel real good about. Tailback, we've got Dylan Baxter back. He's put on about 25 pounds. He's had a nice off season. He'll come back to his senior campaign and hopefully do well for us. We got a transfer, Cameron Tornado. He was out of Central Missouri, Nebraska, Omaha, when they had a program, so we've been lucky to get him on the rebound. He's a great return kid at those 2 schools, so we'll see how he does for us. We've got Scott Meyer coming back as a junior. He was our leader as a freshman and blew his knee in the preseason last year and had a red shirt. He's almost back, so there's a guy with experience that we feel can help us. So we feel good. I think at the running back position, I think it's kind of going this way in our sport, regardless of the level. I think you need 3 or 4 of them to get through a long season. I mean, Defenses guys are so much faster and stronger, can run and hit. That's a position where you wear and tear. And hopefully you've got some fresh legs throughout the season. So we're going to rotate even more than those three guys. We've got a couple of young guys that hopefully can do it. Wide receiver, I can say, as a collective group, we've got about 6 kids that do the same thing. Hopefully it's good, but they're all about the same type of guys, and hopefully they come up with a catch when it's thrown to them and do well for us. But in a nutshell, on paper, I feel good. Looking at us on paper, but we'll see how it pans out this season. Questions?
Coach, you talked about most of your top newcomers, a good number of your guys with Lawrence, which is down the road, back from the game. You talked about playing the shallow phase with him at all and having success of getting your kids from Lawrence that come to there.
Yeah, good question, Michael. I think Jason Thorne, our defensive coordinator, recruits the Lawrence area and kind of touches into the Kansas City area, and then the outskirt, Topeka, Holton, you name it. But he was a 4-year starter at KU. Knows the Lawrence, played at Lawrence High, Chesty Lion, you name it. And he's got a great name up there. And he's gone in there and he's kind of said, hey, I want to talk to your best kids. I want to give them an opportunity down here. You know how it goes. You get 1 or 2 of them. They have a good experience, and then all of a sudden you're getting next year, getting another guy. Or you're getting them from another school possibly down the road that they want to come back and play closer to home. But I give him all the credit. He's done a super job of getting them down there. And then it's nice to have that close fan support. All of a sudden our tailgate party before the game's pretty good, and it's usually the Lawrence parents that are starting it. And you know how the booster, we all need money. And it's nice to have those local kids playing at our spot. The Lawrence Cheerleading World will cover us, and all of a sudden, it helps the whole program in a lot of ways.
Question, Coach. As one of the longest tenured coaches in the conference, what are a few aspects that have contributed to your longevity and the success of your program?
10 years, I don't know if I said that, but 10 seasons. The number one thing I think is support. You got to have support from your administration. I'm going on, if I make it one more year, I've been on my 3rd president. I'm on my 3rd AD, using the football coach as the first guy to go in between those 2 positions. So I've been lucky there. I think consistency in our program, consistency in keeping our coaches. I've had Coach Thorne, who I talked about for all 9 seasons, going into our 10th year together. I've had Coach Regalado going into our 6th season together. That's big. If you can keep your coordinators and teach your young coaches to coach, and hopefully, I like to hire within. I like to keep our players. Our master's program, our GA program is pretty much players that have played for us for 4 years. Then we'd like to hire them as a student assistant or a GA, keep them there another 2 to 3 years. Now he's a 7-year veteran in your program, and then hopefully keep him another year or 2 coaching with you. We've had some good luck doing that, and I think that's a big part of going through the process. I heard the word process today, and then being consistent. We'd like to get a couple more wins, but at least by now we've become pretty consistent, and hopefully we can do a couple things to take it to another level.
We got 2 guys returning. Sheldon Jacks, Justin Canlis. Justin moving out to right tackle. He's replacing Aaron Rishick, who's a 4-year starter, started tight end. He's a good player for us. But Justin's going to do a great job out there. We have some young guys that step up. Left tackle's position that's kind of up for grabs in the offseason. We have a couple guys in line for that spot that are big kids that can really play and really move. So I'm confident. I have all the confidence in the world. Coach Regalado and Andy Pitt, new hires, can help with the offensive line. I think those guys are going to be great.
Question for Jake.
social media. Sorry, I'll just yell. Are you completely healthy after your injury last season, and how frustrating was it trying to play through those?
Last year was very frustrating. Coming in with a lot of expectations for what that season was supposed to be. It was tough, but that's part of it. You got to fight for adversity, and I've learned from that experience to make me a better quarterback, sitting up in the box, read coverages and doing those kinds of things. But right now, I'm 100%, I'm cleared 100%, I'm ready to go.
Coach, another question. Returning Andre Jolly on your defensive line, what makes him so effective, and how do you anticipate teams dealing with him this season?
Andre Jolly is one of those guys. He's 6'1", 230, and can really run. And he's a guy that can come off the edge and really wreak havoc with a tackle. He's very athletic and finds a way to get to the quarterback. I think some teams, you look at him, you might as well run right at him and see if he can handle some of that too. So I think he's going to see some of that. Teams are going to maybe chip block him a little bit. We've got some things, out there that we're going to experiment a little bit with the 3-4 front and maybe play him in space a little and bring him from some different angles. But I think the big key is, the guys around him got to play well. We've got to find that other defensive end. You can become a pretty good defensive end on the other side if you can just get up the field a little bit and let him feed people to you. And so, I think he's going to have some challenges this year. You're a sophomore, you make first team All-American. Let's see how you play when you're in the spotlight. And I expect he's worked hard in the offseason. He was here all summer, and I expect a big season from him.
Another question for Jake off social media. Sorry, I just lost it. With the number of weapons you have on offense, how do you keep all those guys happy?
It's tough. We got a lot of wide receivers returning. Some guys that have played some valuable quarters for us, valuable games for us. But we have a stable of running backs too. So getting them the ball, whether it's handing the ball off 40 times a game or throwing 40 times a game, doesn't matter. It's all about winning football games. So, distributing the ball as much as I can, execute the offense. That's all you can do. You can't worry about making guys happy or doing those things. You just got to play within the offense and execute.
Coach, what lessons did you take from your playoff loss last season, and what impact did getting to the postseason have on recruiting?
Yeah, in 08 we made it, and we moved up to Morningside and kind of got whipped. The score, wasn't very close, and it got away from us. So then we get back in 2012, we went to a tough place, St. Francis. If you haven't been there, they've never lost a playoff game, 16 straight, they've won at home. And I got in the airport and was picking up somebody flying in, and I see this video where they're playing Indiana State and beat them by 43-12. And last time Indiana State's played them, it's kind of a hometown deal there, and that was over. NAAI beat them 1-0. And so that was my first experience. And okay, we're at a place where it's going to be difficult, and you can see it on film. Very good football team, but I thought our team went in there. We had Sam Lawson in, our backup quarterback, who did a great job for us. But I thought our team responded, got down, kept playing hard, had our opportunities, to win the football game. We missed a couple kicks. We turned the ball over a couple times, which usually equates to a loss. And so right after the game, I remember that feeling. I still feel it. I can remember what I said to that football team. Realize what you accomplished, but realize what you just went through, and let's build from this. And I think our recruiting class is a good recruiting class. It has been for a couple years now. I felt real strong about that. And, I just like where we're at as a program. I feel like our kids are enjoying themselves and expect to win. And now we've got to, like I said, we have an opportunity to make the playoffs. We've got to get through the first round. Until we do, I can't say much more.